Hello and welcome to the McTaggart Attack podcast. I'm Kevin McTaggart, and this is episode 124. It's a brand new daily podcast episode that I thought I would toy with today. We may never do it again. We'll see. We will see. We'll see how it goes. Truth be told, I wanted to do 5 podcast episodes this week, and I got through Monday through Wednesday, and I was thinking to myself what to do for Thursday and Friday. I knew I wanted to do something on Friday, but I'll get to that on Friday. And so I just thought, I was driving Wednesday afternoon, and I was thinking to myself, somehow came to my head to do Top 10 Thursday. That just sort of sounded like a good idea. Like, I would give my top 10 about certain topics, about any topic, really. That's what I thought I would do for this episode, for Top 10 Thursday, is just read off, we give my opinion on 10 things, on the top 10 list of basically anything. So that's what this episode's going to be. It's going to be me giving a top 10 list of things. So, like, for instance, for the inaugural episode of Top 10 Thursday, it's going to be top 10 Pearl Jam albums. That's right. Top 10. My favorite top 10 Pearl Jam albums. I'm going to be ranking them. It's hard to rank the things you love. I imagine parents probably don't rank their children. I don't have children, but I love Pearl Jam, so it's hard for me to do this. So I'm going to do this one first, so it sets a good tone for the rest of the other top 10 Thursdays that I will do in the future. If you, upon hearing this list, you disagree with me, you can send me an email to mctaggartattack@gmail.com. You can find me on Twitter at KevMcT. You can find me on Facebook. You can find the Facebook page for the McTaggart Attack podcast. But the most important thing you can do is to subscribe, rate, review, tell your friends about my podcast. I posted this on Twitter. Like, I have 57,000 followers on Twitter. If all of them just downloaded one episode a month, I'd have a whole lot of monthly episodes downloaded. You know, hypothetically speaking, if all 57,000 of them do it a month, that's 57,000 downloads a month. That's pretty freaking good. It's pretty good. So yeah, just, help a brother out. That's what I'm trying to say. Just help me out. So yeah, okay, let's get to the top 10 favorite Pearl Jam albums. Kevin McTaggart's top 10 favorite Pearl Jam albums. Do I have sound effects that I could do here? That's right, we're going to do top 10 Kevin McTaggart's top 10 favorite Pearl Jam albums. Let me look at the sound effects here. No, I don't like that one. Nope, that's not good. I want, like, cheering. Oh, okay, that's good. Yay! Alright, good. Alright, good. I'm not going to do the sound effects. Those are stupid. Sorry to bother you with all those sound effects. They're too loud for my ears. So, alright. So I'm going to go from 10 to 1 on this. Okay? And so that's what I'm going to do. Uh, for this list, we're going to do, well, first we're going to start with honorable mention. Honorable mention, maybe I should save honorable mention for last? Now we'll do honorable mention first. Honorable mention is the Lost Dogs uh, 2-disc album that was just B-sides and rarities from all the Pearl Jam albums up until 2003. Because this album, Lost Dogs, came out in 2003. It's honorable mention. Why? Because it's not technically a studio album. And I didn't want to put it in the top 10 because there are 10 studio albums, which makes it easy for me to rank them, which means I don't have to leave any out, which means the only one that I have to leave out is the one that just has the B-sides or the songs that basically didn't make any of the albums, or the rare songs that they just did that weren't intended for any albums. So Lost Dogs is really good. It has a lot of good songs on there. I like the song "Sad" is on there. I think "Man of the Hour" is on that soundtrack. Is on that album. I think, but there's quite a few. I think there's 2 dozen rare Pearl Jam songs on there. There's the song "Alone," which I like, but it's not the version from the singles. It's a different version, which I still like though. "Dirty Frank" was on there. But there's a lot of good B-side songs on that album. I highly recommend it for anyone that wants to listen to Pearl Jam songs that you've never heard of before. But granted, most of you have probably never heard of Pearl Jam before. Let me try to look at the, I don't know if this will work, but let me see if I have it on here. You can tell that my podcast isn't that original. Right. I'll just read off the list of... Where is Lost Dogs? Do I even have it on my thing? Nope. I don't want to do that. What am I doing? That's not good. Oh. Alright, so there's All Night is on disc 1. Sad is on disc 1. Down. Hitchhiker, which is an interesting song. Don't Give Me No Lip is a Stone Gossard sang song. I don't really like songs sang by anyone but Eddie Vedder if it's a Pearl Jam album. So Alone, which I already mentioned. In the Moonlight, which is a nice song. Education. Black, Red, and Yellow. Oh, that's the song that has the Dennis Rodman cameo. Then there's the song You. Leaving Here. Grammy Out of Control. Whale Song. Undone. Hold On, and Yellow Ledbetter. Yellow Ledbetter, which is a song that they play at almost it's their closer for a lot of their shows. It's one of their closers that they do. So yeah, Lost Dogs is definitely honorable mention, mostly because, wait, I should go back. And where's disc 2? Why am I reading off the song titles? But yeah, I'm just trying to see. Oh yeah, Hard to Imagine was one on there. Wash. It's also Dead Man is a good song. Dirty Frank, which I mentioned, which is a great song about a cannibalistic tour bus driver. And then the last song on disc 2 is a song called B-Girl, and then there's a hidden track, which was a song that they did when Lane Staley died, which is basically a fuck you to anyone who tried to make money off of Lane Staley's passing by making a tribute song of their own or something like that. So yeah, that was the honorable mention. Let's get to the top 10 list then, shall we? Let's see. Number 10... I put the album Binaural at my 10th favorite Pearl Jam song. I want to point out favorite Pearl Jam album. I want to point out that I love all of these albums. So it's hard for me to rank all of them. But I did it anyway. Why? For podcast content. So you're welcome. So Binaural is number 10. It was sort of a weird sounding album, produced by this guy, Chad Blake. They used this binaural type recording for, I think they intended to do it for all of the songs on the album, but then they decided to just do it for a few of them, and a few of the songs they just recorded the normal way, from what I understand. What I based this list on was what songs I liked from each album. Like how many songs did I really 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 love from each album. And Binaural really only had 2 or 3 songs that I really really love listening to. Like I love Nothing As It Seems. It's a long song with Mike McCready playing the electric guitar throughout it, and he has a great solo on the album with this song. Another song I like on Binaural is Grievance, which was a rocking song that sort of gives a message about the state of America back in 2000 when this album came out. And then there was this other song on there called Soon Forget. And Soon Forget is an interesting story for me, because Soon Forget is just a song played by Eddie Vedder, the lead singer of Pearl Jam. He just used a ukulele. It's just him singing on the ukulele. That's all the song was. And when this album came out, I told people that I would buy an album from Eddie Vedder of him just playing songs on the ukulele. And then in 2011, he came out with an album of him just playing songs on the ukulele. So of course I bought it. That album, by the way, is called Ukulele Songs. And it's really good, by the way. You should go check it out. And I'm not ranking that album in this list because that's an Eddie Vedder album. It's not a Pearl Jam album. So that album will not make it to the list at all. I can't make a top 10 Eddie Vedder album list because he only has 2. He has ukulele songs, and then he has the soundtrack to Into the Wild. So yeah, that's number 10 was Binaural. Number 9 is Riot Act. That's my 9th favorite Pearl Jam album. Riot Act came out in 2002. I want to say late 2002, November of 2002. I didn't really like Riot Act all that much. There were some good songs on there, like Can't Keep is a good song. Save You is a good angry song, I think, because it has the word fucker in it, and that's one of my favorite things to say on stage. Love Boat Captain is also a very good song, and then it just gets kind of weak from there. There is the George Bush protest song called Bush Leaguer, which talks about George W. Bush and what an awful president he was at the time. And I listen to that song now, and I think, the good old days. But this podcast episode is not about Donald Trump, so we're just going to move on from that. But yeah, Binaural, Riot Act was just sort of like, I'm such a big Pearl Jam fan that I listened to it a lot when it came out, but then it really didn't do anything for me. The next, number 8, is their self-titled album called Pearl Jam. It's the blue one with the avocado on the cover. It's also been called the Avocado Album, but the official title is that it's a self-titled album called Pearl Jam. It again has a protest song on it. Worldwide Suicide, it's more rocking. It rocks a lot more than Binaural and Riot Act did. There are a lot of good songs on that one. Like I said, I liked Life Wasted and Worldwide Suicide, as I mentioned, and Comatose was good, and Severed Hand is a great song. Severed Hand was sort of like a different type thing song for them, I think. I just liked the way that it sounded. I remember when I watched them perform on Saturday Night Live around when that album came out, and they played that song, and it started with Eddie Vedder playing the guitar, and then he stopped playing the guitar and just sang the rest of the time. I'm like, wow, that's cool that he does that. And they do a lot more songs like that now, so that's pretty good. But yeah, there's "Come Back" is a great song on that album, and why the fuck can't I remember the last damn thing on? What's the name of the last song on that? Oh, "Inside Job" is also a great song. That's their last song on the album. It's their long. It has to be one of their longest songs that they've ever had on an album before. It's like 7 minutes. "Gone" is also a really good song on that album. So yeah, as you can see, this album had a lot more great songs on it compared to the other ones that I mentioned. Number 7 is "Lightning Bolt," which was their last album that they've come out with, and that came out in 2013. And I did like "Lightning Bolt." There are some good songs on there. I'm gonna pull up the list and see, so I can tell you. Yeah, they have a lot of good songs on that album. Like, I liked "Get Away" and "Mind Your Manners." "My Father's Son" was okay. "Sirens" is a great song. I really like "Sirens," and "Lightning Bolt" is great. In the middle of their album, they have a bunch of good songs, like "Sirens," "Lightning Bolt," and "Fallible's" really good. "Pendulums" is a really slow but great song. And then it kind of petered out the rest of the album. There weren't that many good songs on it. Like, "Future Days" is good, but like, I just wasn't very happy with a lot of the songs on that album. They really didn't do that much for me. The next album on my list, coming in at number 6, is "Backspacer." Backspacer came out in 2009. It came out about 3 years after the self-titled album, and this one's pretty quick to listen to. It's probably about 30. It's less than 40 minutes, which was a complaint from people, which didn't make any fucking sense for me. As long as most of the songs are good, it really shouldn't matter. Like, most of the songs are really good on here and very catchy, and don't, you know, I did like a lot of songs on this album. Like, I think I liked most of them. Like, I liked "Gonna See My Friend," "Got Some," "The Fixer's" okay, "Johnny Guitar's" okay. "Just Breathe" is a great song. "Amongst the Waves" is a great song. "Unthought Known" is their best song since the 90s. "Unthought Known" is their best song since the 90s. I love that song. It's their best song that they've come out with since their albums in the 90s. So that's a great song. Maybe I should do a list of favorite Pearl Jam songs at some point. Maybe I will. But yeah, there's "Supersonic," "Speed of Sound" was okay. There's an acoustic version of "Speed of Sound" that I prefer over the one on the album. And then "Force of Nature" is great, and "The End." The the last song is called The End. So, and yeah, a bunch of great songs on that album. And Backspacer was really good. I really enjoyed that one. It wasn't my intention to read off the song list to everybody, but that's just the way it's fucking happening. Let's see. So we've gotten through the first five, the first bottom five. All right. We've got 5 more left. 5 more Pearl Jam studio albums. My top 5 favorite Pearl Jam albums. Let's start with number 5 is No Code. No Code came out in 96. No Code was like an album that's totally different from their first 3 albums that they came out with. I want to say that Pearl Jam did it on purpose. They just put out whatever the fuck they wanted to put out. And these are a lot of... They don't rock as much as the first 3 albums that they ever came out with. But there are a lot of good songs on it. There are a lot of great songs, like there's Sometimes and Hail Hail and Who You Are and In My Tree, which is great, and Red Mosquito and Off He Goes and Smile, and there's just a bunch of great songs on this. There's only one song that I don't really like on it, and it's the one Mankind by sang by Stone Gossard. Like I said, I don't like songs sang by Stone Gossard. But yeah, other than that, it's a great album. And I really like it. Let's see. Number 4 is Yield. Yield came out in 98. And came out after No Code. Yield is also kind of different, but it kind of goes back to their rocking roots, rock and roll roots. They're not as acoustic as No Code was, but there are a lot of good songs on Yield that I enjoy, and I did like it. Yield is a great. It has Do the Evolution, which was one of my all-time favorites. Wish List is also on there. There's one song on there that I do feel like doesn't get the credit that it deserves, I don't think. And I can't remember what the fuck it's called, so I have to be a dumbass and look it the fuck up again, and I can't find it. Why can't I find it? Why is it not on here? Oh, there it is. Faithful is a good song. No Way. Like, I don't hear No Way anywhere. You know, you don't hear No Way that much. But yeah, another big song from that album is Given to Fly. And let's see. Yeah, and All Those Yesterdays is also a great song that I like. That's the song that they finished with on this album. But I felt like this album was sort of a comeback of sorts from No Code. But sort of, I feel like after Vitalogy came out, they just didn't give a shit about what people thought, which was great. But not so great commercially. Let's get to number 3. Number 3 is Versus, their second album that they came out with. Versus, I love Versus. It's their hardest album, that's for sure. It just kicks right off with Go and then Animal. And Rearview Mirror is on this album. And that's one of my all-time favorite songs. Daughter's on there, but there's Glorified G, which I'm not a big fan of. Not because of the gun thing, I'm just not a big fan of it. But there are a lot of great songs on this album. And I love the style of it, and how angry and defiant it was. Number 2, and I hemmed and hawed about this, and I had it reversed at first, but then I thought, no, it has to be the way that I'm going to tell you it is. Number 2 is Vitalogy. My second favorite album from Pearl Jam is Vitalogy. Vitalogy was actually the first ever Pearl Jam album. I keep saying song instead of album and album instead of song. The hell is wrong with me? But Vitalogy was the first ever Pearl Jam album that I bought in 1995. Because I'd never really bought any CDs before because I was living at home and then I was in college. In my sophomore year of college, I went and bought, CDs for the first time. And my freshman year, I had a neighbor down the hall who listened to Pearl Jam all the time. So I thought, hey, I'll give it a shot. So I got Vitalogy because Vitalogy had came out the year before and I was hooked immediately. My favorite all-time Pearl Jam song is Corduroy, and that song is on Vitalogy. So I was very tempted to put it at number 1 based on that fact alone. And there were a lot of other great songs on there. But I think what kept Vitalogy from being number 1 in my book was the Stupid Mop song, is the song that they have at the end of their album. The song that I take off when I listen to it. Like if I have it in a playlist, I won't add all of the songs from that album to the playlist. Like I have a Pearl Jam playlist, but I take that song off because I don't want to hear it. Because I just think it's stupid and I don't like it. Also, another great song on Vitalogy is Bugs, which I've never heard live and I want to hear live. It's just Eddie Vedder playing the song on an accordion. Go look up Bugs, and you will love it too. Okay, the number 1 album, no surprise, underwhelming probably if you've kept track, is 10, which is their debut album. And I know, Kevin, is so lame that you chose their debut album as number 1, but it really was their best one, and it really is my favorite. It really is album that I will listen to still to this day, and each song is fantastic, and it's just wonderful to listen to, and it keeps you going, and it energizes you and motivates you, and every song on there is a classic, in my opinion. You can't go wrong with 10, that's for sure. But like I said, I was hemming and hawing between Vitalogy and 10, and 10 edged it out. Because I'd be stupid to put 10, because I originally had Vitalogy last, and I thought, no, that doesn't feel right. It didn't feel right to have Vitalogy as my number 1 pick. It felt better to have it as my number 2 pick and have 10 as my number 1 favorite album from Pearl Jam of all time. Probably my favorite album of all time. That's right. Maybe that's another list that I can do someday. Favorite album of all time. So many ideas for lists now. Alright, well that's all I've got for Top 10 Thursday. Hope you enjoyed my list. If you have a problem with my list, go fuck yourself. Or you can email me at mctaggartattack@gmail.com or find me on Facebook. Find the McTaggart Attack Facebook page, or find me on Twitter at KevMcT and argue with me about this. I'll post the list of my top 10 and then my reasoning for each. I don't know if I even gave reasoning. I just gave you what my top 10 were. But that's how I wanted to do it, so I don't really care what you think. And that's the bottom line if you smell what the McTaggart Attack podcast is cooking.